On this beautiful Saturday morning. I got a new guest with me today for the first time. Captain Mike Casano is joining me. And he brought with him some frickin' cold temperatures, baby. We left the dock this morning. Well, it was more like 7 because there were some issues getting started this morning. I had to get fuel for one thing, and it took me about 10 minutes. The ignition switch was frozen for the second day in a row, so it took me about 10 minutes to warm it up enough to where I could get it to turn before I could start the motor. Motor fired right up, ran great. We got out here, and we've had a nice day. It hasn't been knock 'em dead, but we got 6 keepers, 7 keepers in the box.
7 keepers.
You let a 22-incher go, a monster. You can see that picture over on Instagram and Facebook, The Awakening Angler. While you're there, if you haven't followed me on those 2 social media platforms, I encourage you to do that while you're there. We have been collectively fishing blades and swim baits. 2 of my favorite things. Mike and I both started fishing blades early this morning to limited success. I only think I had 1 fish on a blade. There it goes.
Bye-bye.
Did everybody just hear that 22 caliber go off?
That's called frozen.
Yep. When we left the dock this morning, it was 21 degrees.
Ugh.
And it's probably a balmy 31 now.
Not with the wind chill.
Not with the wind chill, though.
We're still freezing up nicely.
Yep. So first thing this morning, we had it was almost due north. It was northeast, but it was light, 0 to 5. And it has switched down to the southeast a little bit now, and it's freshened up. And I'll tell you in a few minutes here what it is, because I'll pull my wind meter out. Also, let's see here. Can everybody tell me real quick, just give me a thumbs up, how's the audio sound? Because I got Mike and I both mic'd up, and the wind's blowing pretty good. So I'm assuming that you guys can hear me, or you'd have said something already. John Shackelford, good morning. Good morning, buddy. Happy to see you live. Yeah, it's Saturday morning. Merlin, dip your key in dielectric grease. I thought about that. That's a great suggestion. Rob H, good morning to you too. Robert Ward, good morning. Got to be cold. What depth? Our best depth today has been, well, we've been in a little more of a range. We looked in shallow, and I say shallow, we got into about 15 feet, and we caught some fish in there. It's been all walleyes today, believe it or not, and all but I think 1. Did you do any on a blade this morning?
I don't think I caught a fish on a blade.
No, and I caught 1.
Right. And
everything else we've done has been on swim baits.
Yes.
And it's been all walleyes, not a single brown bass. Not one yet, oddly enough. But people will tell you that walleyes don't like swim baits.
They don't.
I would caution you to believe that. So yeah, and now that this wind's picked up, everything's freezing. The eyelets are every cast. You got to clean them, either snap the ice out of them or something.
Or you can snap your line on the cast.
Yeah, yep. Or you can let it freeze to your rod and then lose your good swim bait like you just did. That's always fun. Or when your blade snaps and goes flying through the air and you're like, hey, there goes a $10 bill. Look at that.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, isn't that nice?
I don't know why you didn't want to throw the A-ring today. You should have broke that out.
That would have been like one giant ball of ice. But yeah, it was beautiful. Like I say, not that it's not beautiful now. This wind's picked up a little bit. I could handle it being a little lighter wind than it is, but the sun's out. It's a clear blue sky. Even if it just makes you feel warmer than you actually are. But the beauty of drift fishing is your back's to the wind all the time.
Yes.
So it's not bad, honestly. And my hands haven't been nearly as cold as in the last couple days, considering it's probably the coldest day of the season I've fished so far. Water temp is 36.3, so it dropped about 3/4 of a degree from yesterday, and it was a good cold night. I mean, it was 20. Let's check some comments. Robert Ward, Merlin. I'm trying to read these guys, and Frank Garvey sounds good. John, audio excellent. Right on. Loud and clear. Ah, it's bitching. That's nice. I think we finally, so I won't ask anymore. We finally got it figured out. I know how to set up the GoPro and the phone with it. So if you guys can hear me and Mike, that's perfect. We came back up and we've got a pretty good picture here. For the first time in a couple days, I'm seeing real high scattered bait, and it's going down like that. Oh, that group of bait right there is probably as deep as 12 feet, and we're in 17. So I have not caught a fish dragging bottom like I had been doing. And all Mike's fish have been mid-column, between half and 3/4, give or take. And like I said, all walleyes. So are those fish, Mike and I had this conversation a few minutes ago, are those fish on bottom and seeing that go over their head 6-8 feet above them? Or are they up there swimming and see it go by them?
I think if they were up higher in the water column, I think you'd be marking them more though, right? What have you been looking on your screen? What have you been seeing? Because you haven't been seeing a lot of stuff marked up high, right?
I have not.
Right.
I have not. And I always think to myself, self, like we talked about, if in 17, 18 foot of water, our cone on the bottom is only showing a 6x6 or an 8x8 square, if you go halfway up that,
you got less.
Right. And so I more look to see if there's bait up high. So now that right there is a mark off that bait. I mean, that's clear as a bell. It doesn't get, he's on the outside of it and it's got a lot of red in it. So that's a fish up in the water column.
Thank you. You don't want to see a chip a tooth?
No, but I had to look twice before I realized what you were doing.
My dentist thanks you.
Oh, my dentist. Yeah. God gave us built-in nippers. They're called teeth. It's amazing I have any left with all the split shot I've bit on in my life and line I've lopped off. Yeah, this is picked up. Again, not that it's anything. It's really a perfect drift. I mean, I got 3 bags out. We're drifting at 0.5 to 0.6, which is right where you want to be. And again, fishing's been okay.
I've had worse days.
There's one right there. No.
Ah.
Well, just as I started to tighten up on them. Couple big fish. We got 3 fish over 19.
Yes.
And every walleye today, when you put them in the net with the swim bait, you can't see the swim bait. Swim bait is in their mouth completely. And like Mike Urema and I talked about the other morning, in the fog, you catch a fish on a swim bait, in our humble opinion, you've completely fooled that fish. He has just engulfed it to the point where, you know, a blind man at that point could have caught him. I mean, theoretically, unless he breaks you off, which you did have a bite off this morning, and we immediately said pickerel, but it could absolutely be that a walleye woofed it so deep that when you set on him, it rubs on his teeth. It could theoretically be the case.
Yeah.
You know,
But I'm not hammer setting on anything, though. That's the one.
no, and that fish railed you because I remember seeing that bite right at the side of the boat.
Right. Yeah, it's just sweeping into them. Usually those cone-shaped teeth of the walleye, they act a little differently.
Yeah, yep.
All right, I think I'm going to join you fish now for a little bit, maybe. God, I cannot believe how much ice is on this pool.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I'm fishing this rod with straight mono on it, and I'm still just as iced up.
The braid doesn't like the ice.
No.
Doesn't like the water.
No. And, you know, guys, listen, most everybody's home watching us and not out here. And there is one other boat out here. It was a duck boat. He's over in back of us. Duck boat, they're fishing. Obviously, the duck season's closed. And it's the end of the season. And it's the time of year where stuff doesn't want to work. You know? I mean, that's... And again, for me, coming from a background of winter steelhead fishing my whole life since I was in high school, I guess I'm just kind of used to it. But, you know, everything is stiff. You know, my reels are stiff. There's ice on everything. And, you know, Mike just lost a swim bait because the line was frozen in that split second where you cast and it doesn't move. You know, something's got to give. And, you know, but also when you come out and, you know, so we got 7 in the box. Mike let that big one go. That would be 8.
We missed probably 4 other bites.
At least.
Yeah.
At least. I mean, so to come out, it's almost the middle of December in open water and have a limit of fish. You know, we talk about expectations all the time, and how many does it take for you to say, oh, this was good? Well, on a day like today, I'll take this all day long.
Absolutely.
Would I like 30? Sure, but you know, well, I'll take 10.
Absolutely. As I like to say, this doesn't fall in the suck category. This is pretty good.
No, and in the grand scheme, we're comfortable. It's really very pleasant today. I got a couple of my fingers that might disagree with that statement, but for the most part, it's been pretty good.
Come on, boys.
Nice here, buddy. Troy Smith, nice to see you. Rumble Seat finally found us and joined us. Finding the start show seems to be hit or miss for me. You know, it's funny, Bob, I've never been on the other end of this, so I'm not really sure. Hopefully somebody will answer Bob in the comments here, in the live comments. One thing I will say, Bob, is do you have the notification bell turned on when you go to the channel subscription for my channel? Because I believe, now my wife will tell me that she gets the notification every time the live starts. So maybe that's just what you have to do. John, I'm not sure how to say your last name, John. Morning, Matt. Late to the show, but better late than never. Absolutely. Do you use anything on your guides to prevent freezing?
Water?
Yeah, water. Yeah, or you break the ice out every couple casts or every cast. Mike and I were talking about that earlier. And again, as a longtime winter steelhead fisherman, I've sprayed them with WD-40. I have I put Vaseline on them, Crisco, Ben Gay in the old days.
Really?
Not Ben Gay. Preparation H. And you're gonna laugh. In the old days, Preparation H used to be used. It was made with a cod liver oil base.
Okay.
We used to use it as
Attractant?
is attractant
Right.
on our walleye lures in Oswego in the old days.
I've-
You lube that big size 18 Rapala up with Preparation H. One of my clients goes, "What are you planning on doing with that?"
I didn't pay for that trip.
I go, "Well, it's dark. Just don't say anything." You know, no, I didn't say that. I've tried it all, and I've never seen anything that worked.
Right.
To stop the ice up.
No.
It's
Patience.
cold.
It's patience. You got to commit yourself. This is what you're going to do.
Yeah, like right now, you know, I'll show you, and so the first three, the big ones, you don't get anything on. You can see that ice right there, and you just gotta, yeah, patience. That's a great way of putting it. If you're gonna fish this time of year, there are certain challenges, and by coming out, you accept those challenges as part of it, and you deal with it.
No different than flipping weeds and picking weeds off every cast.
Picking weeds all day. Yep.
All day.
Yep. Which it's funny. I would rather take ice out of my guides than pick weeds off my lure all day.
You don't like the yard work?
I do not. I do not, and I'll purposely not fish in and around the weeds, even though I know I should more.
Right.
Because I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I'd rather be out in open water. But that's just me, you know.
Come on.
Well, this second drift did nothing.
Yeah, I think are we outside the line a little?
We're just no, we're right on the line. We're probably south no more than about 50 feet.
I think they're all 50 feet to the right.
Yep. That's on your side.
I'm trying.
You're letting them slip by you.
I'm trying. Trying hard.
Oh, man. Hey, listen. Fishing's fishing.
That's right.
Fishing's fishing. We got to set the hook multiple times today when normally you wouldn't. You know, I mean, most sane people have put things away for the season.
Yeah. Weed?
Yeah, I think so. Something. Yeah, made a liar out of me.
No, I think you probably had a weed. I'm going with weed.
You know, it's funny. Swim bait fishing is not. It seemed like I zoomed in. Is that possible? Seems like we're closer than we should be. Bob, my wife's going to tell you how to do it. Morning, Just Paul. Morning, Jay Spinola.
Ever tell me how to do it? Because I tried to figure it out too, and I didn't see the bell. I saw like a little flag on the upper right-hand corner, but I didn't see anything like that looked like a bell.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to go. I don't ever go in there myself and look.
Right.
I only see it from my account perspective.
Okay.
But we got. I'll tell you one thing about this live is every day so far this week, the numbers are going up daily on how many people are watching it live.
Pretty soon you should have like a little video game. Have people like a little directional, tell you where to cast, what lure to pick. Figure that out. Work on that.
Don't say that out loud.
You need to work on that.
Yeah. I'll be fishing a
Little popper.
yeah. I'll be fishing a freaking jitterbug in December for muskies or something. Jesus. I can't give these guys control. Holy cow. It'd be chaos. Drive around in circles 6 times.
Come on, fish.
Jig behind. I know. I
What the
know.
heck? We were getting them good.
I know.
Turn the camera off. All right, show's over.
Yeah, we just had a pretty good drift, and I said, okay, let's go back up. I'll turn on. We'll go live. It'll be great because I love catching fish live. It's so much fun. Whoa, that was a good one. Where'd that one come from?
Yeah. Well, there's another boat out by the island. Or is that the same guy? No.
That,
Is that him?
yeah, yes.
He's bounced all over the place today.
Yeah, yeah, he's been all around us. My guess is no matter where you are right at the moment, it's about the same.
Yeah.
And we're seeing fish, we're seeing more bait than I have in a week, but it's not translating into a fast and furious bite for us.
I'm also getting a lot more floating debris than I've been getting. I haven't been picking up that at all.
Go Army later today. What, today's the Army-Navy game? Well, yeah, go Army. It's embarrassing when you lose to Navy. The best fishing show on TV and no commercials. You're not Tom Alexander. I vote Tom Alexander as our employee of the month right now.
All right. You know the world is going to come to an end. I'm going to pick up a blade.
It's funny, I was just thinking about doing the same exact thing.
I pick up a blade, there's going to be an eclipse. Apocalypse.
An apocalypse.
An apocalypse.
So you guys are all gonna laugh out there. So Mike and I had a conversation earlier today about let's call it the tensions. That wind just shifted back to the north a little bit too. We just switched and now we're facing the southern water tower. We had a little conversation earlier about some of the tensions that arise between various groups of anglers. Not just here, but anywhere and any body of water. Bass versus walleye guys, and we're of the same mindset, and we said the same thing. We're all fishermen. We're all fishermen, and there's no reason to be fighting amongst each other. Even sometimes on this lake, you have the east end versus the west end. I fish the west end here, and I love the west end, but I also live here, and I'm my boat's right there, and so it makes sense that I would fish here more often than go to the other end. In the old days when I trailered, I almost exclusively launched out of Godfrey, and for years never made it farther west than Constantia.
Oh wow.
I never fished this down here.
Wow.
So what and where you are and what you do and how you do it, it's all subjective. And I think one of the things that I would say to people, and people all year have said to me, Matt, you're real positive about a lot of things. Well, what's the alternative? I mean, would you like me to be a miserable prick and say that I hate everybody else that doesn't do just what I do, and that if you catch fish on a different presentation that I do, that you're wrong or I'm right, Jesus, God, that's exhausting. I don't want to do any part of that.
Okay, I made my 3 casts with a blade. Can I put it down? I can't do it. I can't.
All right, I tried it.
It hurt.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't make me do it.
Yep. This isn't really happening today, although, listen, you could be out here. You could come out now and fish till, 2-3 o'clock, and you might just smack the snot out of them. I don't know, the water's going to warm up much, and this wind is not going to allow really that, but, that sunlight will turn fish on eventually.
I think it's a line. I think it's just, you just got to get on the right line. You just got to keep making those multiple weeds. You got to make that multiple change and just kind of get yourself set. I cannot believe the debris that's out here. Normally this time of year, there's not hardly anything.
No, a lot of floating stuff. Well, and like you said to me earlier, we know there's fish here.
Oh.
Like you can't catch them like gangbusters one day and not the next day and then say, oh, they all completely left. That just doesn't seem to make logical sense.
No.
And so if they're here and we know they're here, you just got to keep going until you find them. And again, you know, Mike, you and I talked this morning about the need to see them before stopping.
Right.
And I do both, but also, again, if you know they're here and I'm on the same line or the same area where I've got all my marks from the last couple days, then you just got to fish it too.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes the best fish finder is the rod.
Absolutely. It's the most fun fish finder.
Yes. Yeah. That's way more fun than looking at the screen. But sometimes I'll drive around for an hour before I see what I think is going to stop. And even if that changes my outlook and puts me in that, hey, I think this is going to work, this is the right spot.
Right.
I go into it with a positive mindset. I transmit that down my line as I'm jigging or running my swim bait and go, I'm going to get bit any second. And you do.
Yes.
You know, and the same thing is you come out and go, we're not going to catch shit today. Well, it changes how you fish, it changes what you do, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
This time of year, I mean, and again, we're not lighting them up, but you figure we've done probably, 10 fish thereabouts, right?
Yep.
So you've done 10 fish, a couple, 2-3 hours. You do that over the course of the day, that's still a 20 fish day, 25 fish day.
If you invest that time into it.
Maintain it, yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, I'm excited right now that our audio is working good in the first windy day that we've had. You know, and can everybody hear Mike real good in the back of the boat? I said I wasn't going to ask this anymore, but I just want to make sure, because distance away from the phone should make no difference with these microphones. And that's really the point, that we can have that conversation while fishing, and we both don't have to be right here looking at the camera.
Right. Can they hear me swearing under my breath? You know what I'm noticing? So these lines, these white lines in the water, that usually collects the debris.
Yeah.
And they seem more spread out right now. They're not totally defined. So I think that's why that debris is all over the place. Usually when it's flatter, that debris gets worse.
Yeah, because it should be collected right now.
Right. Because I can't get a cast. I'm having trouble getting a cast through.
That's why I just put the blade back down, because I've got too much stuff in line here, and with them you can't.
Right. They don't do real well with anything on them.
No. The minute something feels weird, you might just as well bag it.
Yeah. Should have brought the A-rig.
I'm happy to see everybody on the live this morning. Thanks y'all for joining us. Thank you all. I didn't say y'all.
Y'all.
I promise. We need a George Costanza. We need an out on a high moment.
Yeah, this is. I'm kind of on the amazed fact. This is the longest we've gone between bites.
Yes. Yes.
Not.
Yes.
But if you can't present your bait properly and you keep getting weeds on it.
You work at the university, Mike. Are you a sports fan?
Yeah, I mean, I follow. I'm not. There we go. Oh, he came off.
The longest we've went without a bite, folks.
I'll farm that one out.
And then he
for you.
farmed it.
I'll farm that out for you. You don't want to see that.
Farmer Brown.
God, really? Don't set the hook, idiot. That's outstanding.
Oh, funny.
No, I just got weeds.
Yeah, today I believe is Syracuse Georgetown.
Oh boy.
In the old days, that used to mean something.
It used to mean a lot.
You know,
Anger.
Yes. Oh, listen. Okay, so this is where we take it from a national show to a local show.
Oh, okay.
So, who out there remembers Pearl Washington coming down, getting fouled, turning around and giving Patrick Ewing an uppercut right in the gut underneath the basket in the dome, and then both benches cleared, and it was a melee in the dome between the two teams. That's going back a long ways. I'd be real curious to know out there who remembers that.
Wasn't Pearl involved with a few scuffles?
Oh yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Pearl enjoyed a good scuffle.
You know, I met him a couple times later in life. I met him once at the Clam Bar down in North Syracuse, sitting there having a drink with his whoever, wife, I guess, before he died.
Right.
And I knew the owner of the Clam Bar, and he introduced me. And listen, I'm a Syracuse kid. He was a god.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
Pearl Washington. He could do everything. He did things with the basketball in the early '80s that no one had ever seen before. But just the nicest, couldn't be nicer. No, I'm sure, you know, you're in the heat of the moment and you're 19, 20 years old.
Yeah, that's yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when I was that age, I was in the Army, and you were prone to fighting at the drop of a hat just for fun. You know, not to mention in the heat of battle in front of 30,000 people egging you on.
Yeah.
And the biggest rivalry, you know, the only other rivalry bigger than that, even back in those days, would have been Duke, North Carolina in college basketball.
Yes. Yeah.
Syracuse, Georgetown, Duke, North Carolina. And everybody on all those sides hated each other.
I think Thompson started it when he shut down the Manly win streak.
Yep.
I couldn't imagine. See, I don't remember Manly. I couldn't imagine, because what did that hold? 8,000?
Oh, I don't even think that much.
5,000?
I think it was
on top of you, because I've been over there from the university perspective. I've been in that building. I'm going, you start packing people on top, they got to be right on top of you. The anger that's just got to come out is unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't ever remember going to Manly maybe I did.
Because the dome, you have distance. You have distance from the court. There is separation. I mean, you're not right on top.
No, you're not. Yep, I agreed. I haven't even been in the dome since they redid it.
And I'm embarrassed to say I haven't either.
Yeah.
Stadium. No.
Yeah.
It looks great from the outside. I drive by it every couple days or whatever. It's great.
It is still strange to see that on the skyline and not the old bubble.
Well, if you're on Onondaga Lake, I used to look over and you no longer see it. It doesn't stand out. You don't see the big bubble.
Yeah, I can't get a cast through this.
No, I know it's tough. It's very inefficient. I think this is what they want. I don't know. You can't present it to them. It's a little bit of troublesome here.
Maybe I can get under it. Can hear Mike perfect. Some smart ass out here goes, we're talking about the early 80s and watching basketball. He goes, I wasn't born yet.
You know what? I remember when I was the young guy at work.
Yeah.
Now I'm the old guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was the young guy, when I first got my captain's license, I'd been working with a lot of the originals that started up on that lake. And I got my captain's license when I was in my early 20s, and I was the young guy forever.
Right.
And that was a long time ago. And now you go up Salmon River. If I float the Salmon River, there's some of the guys that are older, not even the originals necessarily, but when I started in the early 90s, and they're still going strong. Troy, Johnny, those guys. But then you got a whole group of kids, and I say kids, but they're young men in their 20s and 30s. And it's hard not to go, these kids these days.
Yeah, get off my lawn.
But that's what all those guys used to say to me when I showed up too. Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn.
It's my spot.
Yeah. Well, it is crowded out here today.
Yeah.
It is.
The other day, last weekend, there was 3 boats out here besides me. I called my wife and I go, oh, it's so crowded out here, I can't catch any fish. I couldn't even say it with a straight face.
Yeah. I can't possibly get on my spot, my area. This is tough. Dude, I don't like this drift. I don't know what happened here.
Yeah, I don't like to call.
Weather shift?
What's that?
You think just the weather shift, or I mean,
I don't know. We've had the same sky all morning.
I know. I'm not understanding this, other than the fact that there's a lot more debris, but it doesn't make sense.
I mean, we're getting skinny down here at 16 foot, but
Oh, are we? Oh, okay.
but still, I mean,
they're
we caught
here.
him in 16 this morning.
Right. Right.
We'll give it a couple more casts and then we'll call it.
Okay. I got some work to do.
You got some filleting to do. Was right before I was born. Back then, being inside the dome was like inside a rapidly beating heart. That place rocked. Yeah, no kidding. How many bags do I have out? I have 3 out right now. I've got a double and a single. And it's got me down, I'm still 0.5 to 0.6. If you come off the wave just right, it's a little more, but nothing too major.
I don't think with the swim bait, that speed is as critical necessarily.
Yeah.
That blade bait where you want to keep up with it and that up and down, that speed is a little bit more. I actually don't mind, like, I'm almost always drifting about 0.8 to 1, and I'm just covering as much water, and then you just adjust with your reel speed to kind of control, or you can adjust with your head, what weight you're going to throw.
Yeah, I'm throwing a 1/4 ounce head today, and Mike's well, that one right there is a 3/8, isn't it?
I changed a little, but I'm almost, I don't know. There's no sense in both throwing the same thing.
Yeah, and I'm.
Do you do your wind speed?
Oh no.
Because I think Weather Channel said it was going to be like 10. All right, I'm very curious. I might invest in one of those just because I'm curious to see how that actually correlates to what the Weather Channel or what the other weather reports say.
So let's see. So what's your guess?
8, 9.
I think it's going to be closer to 12 to 13. But let's find out.
Well, see, the other thing too is I'm in this big giant boat. I'm usually in a bass boat, so I feel like I'm
moving a lot. Yeah.
This boat has high sides, so I don't feel nearly as unsafe.
Well, you were right spot on.
What?
It's 8.
Oh,
yep.
I don't need one of those then.
I thought. Yeah, 7.5 to 8. It's going to gust a little bit more.
Okay. Can you point that over and tell me where the fish are?
Well,
okay. Come on.
You ever see somebody witch a well out with the stick?
With the stick,
the stick,
divining rod or whatever they call it. Yeah.
Yeah. You ever see somebody do that, or you ever try it?
No.
It's when I say real, it's as real as it gets. Like buddy of mine does it, and he's an excavator, and he goes here. Because I'm like, yeah, you're full of shit, dude. I was standing there. You go
where the fish were. You needed to point the fish. I can lose them. Just give me a minute.
I had a death grip on that stick.
Yeah.
And it twisted in my hand so hard that I had bark in my hands afterwards, and it went whoa, and it pointed right straight down.
This is actually, if this is a walleye, I'm gonna say
it is.
He's what?
No, it's a pickerel.
Pickerel. Oh, dear God, points deducted, man. Come on, man. I was gonna say if that's a walleye.
Here, let me try net him.
Thank you. If you want, you can put the blindfold on. Awesome. Oh, listen, I don't mind pickerel. I don't. Everybody hates on the pickerel, but
as long as they don't take my stuff, I don't mind it.
Look at that. Just bit that off. Nice.
Out on a high note.
Dude, that's points deducted, though.
It's all right.
That's all right. We're fine. We're good.
That is all right. Well, on that note, I think let's call it a day. My phone seems to be a little weird. It seems like I'm way zoomed in.
Are you?
I'm not. There's no zoom adjustment on this.
If you were zoomed in, my fish would be bigger then, right?
I once caught a fish this big. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us on this Saturday morning. Tune in tomorrow morning, about the same time, no, I'm going deer hunting in the morning. Sorry. Maybe I'll do a live, but there's no service down there. I'm going deer hunting tomorrow. We're going to get Danny his first deer. Come hell or high water, I'll walk circles around him until I kick one to him. But I want to thank you for joining us today. Get outside today, do something fun, because it's a beautiful day, cold or not. Just dress for it, you know? Mike, I want to thank you for joining me today. It was a pleasure. For the first time we've ever fished together, it was pretty great.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
And everybody out there, have a great day. Do something fun today. And as always, whoa!
Good hook set.
I almost threw myself right on the ground like a child having a tantrum. Keep your tip off! Oh, that's hilarious.
Dude.
I did too.
I know, I saw you.